It's that time of week. Coach Herm Edwards with Armen Levack on 104.5. The Team, brought to you by McLean Food Service. And, Coach, the Buffalo Bills yesterday, upset of the day. At least it definitely is here. Bills over the Packers. You know, Coach Marone's been under scrutiny, but he's proved himself here pretty well, especially with this win, hasn't he?
Well, I don't know who's got him under scrutiny, but I think the Buffalo Bills have been playing pretty good football all season long. They let a couple games get away from them in the fourth quarter. They've been very competitive, have an outstanding defense. The more you watch these guys, they can get after the quarterback, as we know, 49 sacks. Don't give up a lot of points, only 18 points. So you're going to be in ball games with that formula. And yesterday, if you watch Green Bay all year, they've struggled on the road. I mean, they score about 40 points at home, but on the road they've been scoring about 20. So that didn't surprise me, the outcome of the game. Now, some will say there were a lot of drop balls, and obviously Aaron didn't play one of his better games, but when you play against a good defense like that, you're not going to always play well.
Speaking of that defense and that special teams, Coach, how nerve-wracking is it to win when your offense can't exactly punch the ball in the end zone and you have to count on the other two facets of the team?
Well, sometimes you have to play that way. You have to play to the skill of your football team and the skill set of players. And, most teams always have a dominant side of the ball. They happen to be very dominant on defense right now. When you look at all the high-round picks they have on that defensive line, Coach Schwartz has come in there and really done a nice job when you think about all the players they have over there, especially the defensive line. I love their defensive line. I think they're very active, get after the quarterback, Hughes, and Williams is playing well, and Darius is also playing well. They've got a nice set of linebackers, got a nice secondary, so that's their strength, and I think when you play Buffalo, you realize that. And you're hoping the offense can generate some plays offensively. We know Watkins is a guy. When he's in the lineup, he's very dangerous. Woods also is another good player. They got a couple guys who are running backs, and they can stay healthy. And Orton's a veteran quarterback, so he plays okay. Now, that's going to be, the thing. Can Orton carry this team into the playoffs? I don't know that, but I think their defense and their special teams can.
Coach, the Green Bay game was probably the one we looked at with the last three that would be the hardest to win. With that one behind the Bills, what are your feelings on the Raiders being a trap game?
Well, I don't think for the Bills it's a trap game, because I think if the Bills understand that where they're at right now, they haven't been in this situation in a long time. Some of these players have been there. They're an 8-6 football team, knowing that they probably have to win out to get in, but they've got an excellent chance. And that's what you got to do. You got to put yourself in a playoff mode every time you play these last couple of weeks, and I'm pretty sure the Bills have that mindset right now.
He's Coach Herm Edwards with Armen Levack on 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, brought to you by McLean Food Service. Coach Herm, every Monday, 5:15 during the football season. And, Coach, Odell Beckham Jr. yesterday, again, he as a rookie wide receiver now, he's setting records. Is he the rookie of the year at this point in your mind?
Ooh. I know he's going to get a lot of votes. He's going to get some votes. I don't know that. I think he's playing very well. The guy has great attributes, as we know. He didn't play the whole season. You look at his numbers; they're outstanding. Obviously, 71 catches, 972 yards, I believe it is, and 9 touchdowns. Benjamin, a kid that is in Carolina, he has similar stats. Not as many catches. Now, he's played more football games, but he's got 9 touchdowns as well. Evans, down in Tampa, they don't have enough wins. He has 59 catches, 11 touchdowns for 948 yards. Now, these guys have played more games. I realize that. But Beckham Jr. is a fine player, and he's going to get a lot of votes.
Now, knowing what we know now, which, of course, it's easier to hindsight the draft, would you take OBJ over Sammy Watkins?
I always feel like you let these things play out. I'm not big on in the moment. I don't believe in the moment. I think we get caught up in the moment in life too much. We don't allow things to play out. And I think this thing has to play out. A couple of years from now, the story will be told. I think both these guys are tremendous players. Watkins has been a little bit hurt. Obviously, Watkins is playing in a different situation. He's played with a couple quarterbacks. He doesn't have Eli Manning. It'd be interesting to see if you flip the script. That has a lot to do with it as well.
Coach Herm Edwards, brought to you by McLean Food Service. Coach, the Giants have to make a decision with both Jason Pierre-Paul and Antrell Roll, as both of those contracts are up after this season. Which one of those guys if you're in the front office, at their positions, have the opportunity to contribute, make a bigger difference when you're looking at two guys you might have to pay big money to for both of them?
Well, I think you got to consider a couple things. Obviously, age is one. Going forward, what do you see their upside is? If there is an upside, and what are you willing to pay for that upside if you feel like there's one? They play two unique positions, as you know. Defensively, you want a guy that can rush the quarterback and knock him down. Then you want a guy that can cover, whether it's a corner or a safety that can come down in the box and play the tight end. So these are discussions you're going to have going forward. And then you have to realize, what is the system that you're about to play or going to play in the future, if there's going to be any changes, is this guy going to fit? So all these things have to be discussed, along with if you decide to change somewhere on your staff, will this guy fit in the next staff's future?
Coach, as we look at this Jets team, a lot of question marks. Eric Decker having his best regular season game as a Jet this week. There's still too many question marks to anoint him as the number one wide receiver going into next season, though, right?
Well, like I said, we always want to pencil hole guys. It's about production. It really is, and I think surrounding cast always help players. I don't think he's a guy that obviously when he gets off the bus, when you look at him, you're concerned, but you're not overwhelmed. I think there's some matchup problems he presents to guys. Whether he's a number one or number two, I do know this. Without consistency on your offense, you really don't know. I mean, this guy's played with a lot of different quarterbacks this year. When he was at Denver, he played with a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was a good player. Now, I'm not saying that that's the quarterback alone, but that has a lot to do with it. When you have this chemistry with the quarterback, and that helps a lot of receivers. So, I don't worry about penciling guys as ones and twos. I just say, hey, what is the surrounding cast? You got a good running game, you got a tight end. That helps a lot of guys as well. He's been in a situation where there's been different quarterbacks in that lineup. It's not a passing offense. It's a running offense. That has something to do with it as well.
Coach Herm Edwards, thanks to McLean Food Service with Armen Levack on the team. And Coach, last week Geno Smith said that at times he's played at a Pro Bowl caliber. Maybe here in this studio he blew that a little bit out of proportion, saying, Geno, how can you even say that, man? But with the last 2 weeks, have we seen enough from Geno Smith to believe that he could be the guy going forward in New York? What have you seen out of Geno Smith at this point?
Well, he's been more consistent. And, the key to Geno was not turn the ball over. Last week he turned, this week he didn't. Last week he turned it over. But then I thought the second half he did some nice things. So I think going forward, these next two games are going to be critical for him. You'll get more on tape of Geno. I think he's gained some confidence in himself. The last 2 weeks, the guy was a starter, and then he got benched, and then he had to come back. And so he's gone through a lot, and then that takes a lot of mental fortitude to do that. So hopefully this will help him going forward in his career. The decision is still that's going to have to be made on the off season. I mean, who knows, what's going to happen there. But obviously he's going to be in the discussion going forward. Is he the quarterback of the future, or do they feel like they have to go draft another quarterback? And hopefully he is, because you hate doing that every year, having to draft a quarterback every 2 years. It just sets your franchise back.
Coach, was it a statement that he has not lost that team, that after he gets hit in the helmet with a punch, everybody riles in and you get that big fight? Is that a statement that this team still believes in Geno?
Well, I think this team has a personality of their head coach, which is great because he's a fighter. Those things happen. We saw it yesterday in Washington in the Robert Griffin situation. Some players came to his defense, and all we've heard about that locker room is some of the players are disgruntled with Robert Griffin. But I think more than anything else, you respect the guys you play with. That's probably the most important thing. And, yesterday it was a situation where they rallied to their quarterback, and they should do that. He's the guy that plays with the ball, and you anticipate teams should do that.
Coach Herm Edwards with Armen Levack on 104.5 The Team. Coach, we have Jets fans today calling into the show. Man, this stinks that we won. We're falling in the draft. I mean, what do you say to those fans that wanted their team to actually lose yesterday to help their draft cases?
I don't say anything to them. I think they have a right to feel that way. They look at their team a little bit different than coaches and players. They are out there trying to win games. I mean, that's what you try to do, regardless of what your record is. And you hear this all the time, not just by the Jets fans. You hear this by any team that hadn't won a lot of games toward the end. A lot of fans would hope you'd play all your young players and see what you have going in the future. Some teams do that, but I still think even though if you play young players, you're still trying to win, and that's important. You want to win some games. It's always fun to win a football game. It really is. It's not a lot of fun when you lose games.
Johnny Manziel shut out in his first start yesterday. Does this, you've said several times in the interview today, you like to let it play out, let things play out. Just your immediate reaction from what you saw from Johnny in his first start.
I thought going in that he would have some moments where things got a little bit too fast for him. I didn't anticipate it looking like this for the most part, but it did, and that's okay. I mean, you realize that he's a rookie quarterback. He's playing against a Cincinnati football team that's pretty good, a team that's been a playoff team the last 3 years, and a team that got dismantled by them at home, got embarrassed. So they had a lot on their plate, Cincinnati. They had something to prove going to Cleveland. Happened to be Johnny Manziel's first start against a team that knew that they needed to win this game to maybe win this division again. So I think going forward, how he bounces back this week and the following week will say a lot about where he's going. I think they're going to have to do some things offensively to help him some and get him outside the pocket. Kyle Shanahan maybe runs the offense he had for Robert Griffin his first year. We had a lot of boots and waggles, got him on the edge so he could just get the ball out of his hand and had an option to run with it. And I think going forward, you might want to do that for this guy to give him a little confidence.
Coach, Armen thinks I'm crazy, and he might be justified, but I look at this Arizona Cardinals team, and I think they're so close to being the NFC representative in the big game. Why not go out and get a Brett Favre or a Kurt Warner to kind of just get you through, since you've already lost Carson Palmer and now Drew Stanton's all banged up? Am I crazy for looking at those guys?
Well, they're retired. They haven't played.
But can you make the call?
How you can get them? What are you going to do? How do you do that? How do you get a guy that hasn't played football in about a year or 2 years? Okay. Brett Favre's doing commercials. I don't know if you've watched. You probably don't watch TV because you're in the studio so much studying football. But he actually is doing commercials. And the other guy's really a good analyst. So I don't know how you get those guys. I mean, you got who you got. And if you know Bruce Arians, he's not worried about that. You talked about it earlier about the Buffalo Bills and how they're built with a good defense and special teams. Well, you want them to go get somebody. They don't need to get anybody.
Coach, with the new conduct policy and the rule that if they get charged with a violent crime, they immediately go on paid leave, do you address this with your players?
You don't have to talk to your players about that. I mean, whether it's the new rule or old rule, conduct yourself professionally.
Yeah.
Okay? Period. Whether you're a football player, what you do, what I do, you carry your parents' last name. Don't embarrass them. I just tell players that. It's just real simple. Just don't do that. Just treat people like you want to be treated. Do the right thing. There's right and wrong. We grow up in a world where there's right and wrong. And if you do wrong, you're going to get punished. And I got no problem with that. And I understand players make mistakes, but you can't be a repeat offender. History will kind of tell you about what's going to happen to you if you go down this certain road. And if you choose to follow the fool down that road, then you're the fool. So I just think it's real simple. It doesn't matter if the rules have changed or what the rules are. I never worried about those things as a player or a man. I don't worry about those things. I understand, hey, that's the way I'm going to live my life. And if I live my life correctly, I don't have to worry about that stuff. That shouldn't be a problem. And for 99% of the players, it's not a problem.
Coach Herm Edwards, thanks to McLean Food Service. Coach, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
I did.